Hi, everyone. Good
Hello.
evening.
Allow me to introduce you so that my friends around the call won't go asking me that they want to know more about you and what you're talking about today. It's good to see you, Shayo. Thank you so much
Good
for
to
doing
see
this
you
with us
too, ma.
every year. Yes, quickly, ladies and gentlemen around the call, Shayo is a finance leader. She's highly skilled in leading high-performing finance teams and delivering exceptional results. Shaiva is licensed as a chartered accountant across three continents. So she's a chartered accountant. She's done the exams in Nigeria, has done the exams in the UK, and the exams in Canada. She has great depth of finance and accounting knowledge, and her experience spans several countries. She's worked in several countries: Nigeria, Canada, Netherlands, and the UK, and even maybe many more. But these are the ones I know. She's the founder of financial literacy platform, which she calls the Finance Mom on Instagram. Um, Her platform shares personal finance knowledge, and she seeks to help people attain financial freedom, just similar to what we do in this community. Chayo is married to Tola and they have 4 children. Thank you so much, Chayo, for joining us. Yeah, you're already sharing your screen, right?
I am, yes.
Okay, so the floor is yours now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you, everyone. All protocol duly observed. I appreciate all the speakers before me. I came in just at the end of Dr. Theo's session, and I thought that was just an apt introduction to my session. I thought it was just a great prequel to the session I'm about to take. So I really want to appreciate the organizers. I want to appreciate you, Coach B, for just such thoughtful arrangement of the sessions. And I just want to thank you for having me here. It's a great privilege to share. It's a great privilege to be given the platform to share with your community. So thank you. Um, so m- I, Coach B has introduced me, so I won't talk about myself. I have been given one of the most would I call it I won't call it difficult. I would call it taboo topics in personal finance to talk about, because when people hear of the word debt, it draws trepidation in our hearts. In fact, if someone says to you, you will be in debt, most likely your response will be, God forbid, because it's like a curse, especially because a lot of us in Nigeria, where I'm from, we're very religious. And the Bible, which I'm a Christian, but I know all the holy books refer to it. But the Bible, which is the book that I stand on, and I'm a Christian, says that the borrower is slave to the lender. And, so there's a lot of biblical principles that are against debt. So once you even hear borrow, you want to run the other side of borrow. And so I can imagine that you are wondering why we are now putting together a personal finance session, and we're talking about understanding credits, understanding borrowing, and leveraging debt to build wealth. For someone that wasn't here last year, or for someone that isn't used to this topic, that can be a bit confusing. And I understand, because we have been trained, our minds have been trained that debt is a bad thing, and avoiding debt is the good thing. However, I want to demystify that a bit, and I'm hoping that we will all walk out of this session. I wouldn't say embracing debt completely, because there is bad debt and there's debt that can ruin, and debt not used strategically and correctly can be very dangerous. It has brought people to ruins, it has ruined companies, it has ruined very big corporations. However, debt used correctly can be a tool to help you supercharge your finances and accelerate the growth of yourself, your personal finance, your business, and all of that. So that's my introduction, and so that's what I'm hoping that we learn, and we can learn how to channel debt in a positive way to help us grow our finances. So very quickly, I'll start by defining some key concepts. So debt, we for most of us know what debt is, but I thought it was important to just, when I talk about debt, this is what I mean. It is an obligation or financial liability that one party owes to another. And because I recognize that some younger people are here, I would say debt is what you owe someone else. You give me some money and you say, pay me back at the end of the month. That's a debt to you. You go to the bank, oh, I want to start a business. They give you a loan. That's a debt to that bank. So when I use the word debt, that's what I mean. So borrowing is a term. So debt is often created through borrowing money. It can involve taking out loans from banks, issuing bonds. So governments and some organizations, companies issue corporate bonds to people. So in that case, the company owes the people, the bank owes the person. Or if you take out a loan from a bank, you owe the bank, your business owes the bank. I know credit cards are becoming a bit more popular in Nigeria. They're not very popular. They weren't popular in the past, but I know more and more. But they are very popular overseas. So if we have anyone joining us from the Americas or Europe or anywhere else, you're probably a lot more familiar with a credit card. But I know they are becoming more popular in Nigeria, and that's a form of debt. So there's also like property financing. Some people will buy a car and they will do higher purchase, pay small, small. We even do that with like appliances. So you go to the store and you buy a deep freezer and they'll tell you you're going to pay small, small. So all of that are forms of debt, they're forms of borrowing. And then what is the repayment? The repayment is, so usually when you take debt, um, there's a there are terms and conditions put in place. They are agreed at the inception of the debt, and that's it's agreed that this is how you have to pay the debt. And usually everything is good if you're able to pay the debt with in line with the agreed terms and conditions. So I thought it was important to just highlight what those key concepts are. So now I'll talk about very common types of debts, and I know that I have touched on a few of these as I was sharing about those key concepts, but I'll just talk about these four common types of debts. So the first one is consumer debt. And that's the very popular one. That's the one that a lot of us are very familiar with. So credit card, personal loan, please borrow me money. I want to buy something, buy a car, pay small, small, pay buy now, pay later. They are all forms of consumer debt. And then there's something they're corporate debt. So corporate debt is debt taken on by businesses to finance operations, to expand the business, for capital investments. And a lot of the time, you know, some it's very difficult for businesses to grow beyond a particular level without taking on some form of debt or the other. Some form of debt. Some at a very basic level, many businesses need what is called supplier financing. We all think, oh, debt is that, and I see someone on the chat said, is there any form of debt that is good? And I understand, like I said it at the beginning, I set the scene with that. That was part of my introduction. But something as basic as supplier financing, which is, oh, I have a business, I have an agreement with my suppliers, stock my shop, but I won't pay you. And then when people come and they buy, as they buy, I will pay you. Or when I'm coming for a restocking, I'll pay for the old stock that I picked up. That is called supplier financing, and it's a form of debt. And a lot of people have been able to start and scale businesses that they otherwise would not have been able to do without those forms of debt, without someone trusting you and saying, okay, you have nothing, you have capital. When people say to me, I have no capital, how can I start a business? I have no capital, how can I scale a business? I always say to them, some of the biggest secrets is supplier financing. Find a major distributor of a big of a find a major distributor of a big conglomerate, and get the person to trust you, develop a relationship and get the person to trust you. You become it, because most times the conglomerates only will extend supplier financing to their major distributor, but many of these major distributors also, extend those supplier financing to their sub distributors, and then you almost with nothing are able to get a shop full of things, sell and then pay. And then if we remember from the last slide, I talked about repayment terms. As you keep to those repayment terms and you show that you are trustworthy, the person is able to trust you with much more, and the business grows bigger. So supplier financing is a very powerful tool. But then of course businesses have other ways to raise funds. I know Dr. Theo, when he was sharing, he talked about the BOI, talked about CBN and all the different opportunities that are out there in Nigeria. I won't repeat, he has already explored all of those, so I won't repeat them. But corporate debt is a legit way that people are able to scale their business when they don't have a lot of capital. And even really big organizations that have a lot of capital, but they want to do a lot more than the capital allows. Like there's been a lot of talk about Dangote recently about how much debt he had to take to be able to build the refinery. It's almost impossible for an individual to go on with massive projects without some form of debt. The issue is, what is the debt doing and how are you channeling it for growth? The other one is mortgages. Many people that may not be able to buy a house cash, but then they take a mortgage. And this as well, I would say, is very popular abroad, but it's also quite popular in Nigeria. You get a financial institution, they lend you money. There's also the National Housing Fund for people that work. You contribute to NHF monthly, and eventually you are able to access a low interest loan. I know many people in Nigeria that that's the only way they were able to buy a house. And then they were able to pay over, I think, 15 years for the house. And they own the house. The house has appreciated. They bought it maybe 10 years ago or something. They've paid off the loan. They own the house plus the appreciation, and they were able to get those loans. So there are some really big things on your journey that you might want to do, that it might just be so much harder to do with your own money, and that's where debt can come in. Then of the student loans, this is a lot more popular abroad, but it's becoming really popular in Nigeria as well. I know that the current administration is pushing it, and it's really a loan taken by a student to finance their education, with the intention that when they complete the education and they start working, they'll pay back the loan. Now, I just want, and this is answering one of the questions or a couple of the comments on the chat room, but just the overall concept of, is all debt bad? And I think as I have been exploring these forms of debt, I have kind of like alluded to the ones that have the kind of debt that can help you grow versus the kind of debt that is probably not the right way to finance things. But I'll just talk about the concept. So I say here, debt can be a useful financial tool when used wisely. It allows individuals and businesses make purchases or investments they might otherwise not afford. However, and this is the really important caution, excessive or mismanaged debt can lead to financial difficulties or even financial ruin. Now, I said good debt and bad debt are terms used to categorize different types of debt based on their potential to benefit or harm an individual's financial decision. These classifications are not universal, and I thought it's important to highlight that, because a debt can be good to one person, but it's bad to the other person. It will vary on your individual circumstances and financial goals. And that point, it's very difficult for you to say, oh, all business loans are good. I cannot give that kind of blanket definition of what is good or what is bad, because the definition of what is good or bad would depend on your individual circumstance or your individual situation. For example, me and my business, if nobody will give me, but let me just give an example. They said Dangote took $30 billion or so as loan for the refinery. If me, I go and take $30 billion of loan, that's enough to cause some financial ruin for me, simply because my business, me and my business, we are not at the scale to be able to manage those kind of. In fact, first of all, everywhere will first scatter. The $30 billion. How, So individual circumstances will be considered in what um is considered a good or a bad debt for you or for your business. However, as a general principle, a good debt is a debt that is invested in assets. That's the first key. So when you are thinking about what kind of debt is good or what kind of debt is bad, this is a general note, but like I said, it would depend on an individual. But first of all, a debt that is invested in an asset, it needs to have a low interest rate. It needs to have some tax benefits for you, and it needs to be channeled to strategic investments. So it needs to be in an asset. So what is an asset? An asset is something that you own that can generate future value to you. So think about it. What is an asset? Like, are we taking loans to buy, for example, a cloth? Or let me give an example of a car loan. Now, people take a car loan for as a lifestyle choice. I just really like this car. I will look good in it. Imagine I pull up to work in this ride. People are going to say, "Oh wow, Shayo is so cool." That's probably not a good debt. But another person takes a loan, the same loan, to buy the same car, and he used that car to maybe do an Uber business or do a delivery business. And in a year, he's able to buy another car from that car. That asset is generating value. He's making an income from it. He's able to generate value. He invested. So, two different individuals bought the exact same asset class with the exact same debt, but one was bad and one was good. That's what I mean when I say individual circumstances. Another thing is the interest rate. A lot of the time, the lower the interest rate, the more likely that the debt is a good debt, and the higher the interest rate, the more likely the debt is a bad debt. Some people have tried to scale their businesses with money lenders loan, and they are very popular in Nigeria. I feel so tempted to mention some names, but I will not mention their names. But we know them. All those take a loan and pay 5% flat per month, which is an overall 60% in a year. Some people even do 7% flat or 3% flat per month. Those are bad debts. And that's me making a very general term, because people have used some of those in quote bad debt as a very short term stopgap for their businesses. But they knew at the point they were going in the exit plan, and they got in, took it, and jumped out. So that's not what I mean. But someone saying, "Oh, Coach Shire said, oh, a good debt is if it's invested in assets. I want to buy a truck to be doing delivery or to be going back and forth. And so I will go to, I don't want to call it name, but you know them. I'll go there and they will give me a loan and I'm paying 5% flat per month. You haven't even started the business, you haven't made any revenue, but you're already, paying interest costs that are skyrocket high. That's not a good debt. So you have to think about all these points. Is it an asset? Is it a low interest rate? What are the benefits to you, to your business? And is this channel to strategic investments for you, for your business? And what's a bad debt? Those are really easy to spot. Consumer debt. You are going into debt to finance lifestyle purchases. Oh, I'm borrowing money to buy a nice ride, to buy clothes, to take a vacation, to enjoy life. That's not good debt, and those are the kind of debt that we try to avoid. It has really high interest rates. Stay away from those. No investment value, and it is at a risk to bring on financial stress to you. And that's the kind of debt that you want to avoid. So when you think about let's avoid debt, rather condition your mind to say, let's avoid bad debt. Let's avoid debt that is, going to get us into financial stress. Now, how to manage your debt? I always say it all comes back to the financial foundation. I'm not going to explore these themes in detail because I know that through the last couple of days, all the different speakers have explored all of these topics. So I won't go into it, but it all starts from here. All the topics in personal finance, think about it. No matter what I am called to speak about, I always start from the base. The base is, do you have a budget? If it's a business, do you have a budget? How are you working towards your budget? How are you working with it? Do you have emergency fund? Before you consider debt, think you have to establish an emergency fund. You know, provide safety nets for yourself such that if the business didn't work out and you need to pay it off and run to safety, there's somewhere you can go to. And then know your numbers, what's your net worth, what's your asset base. The only reason I know that I cannot take a $30 billion loan like Dangote is because I know my net worth, I know my capacity, I know my asset base, I know what I can accept, and I know what I can tolerate. I know the kind of debt my business can collect. So knowing your numbers is extremely important. If you don't take anything out of this conference, take this one out. Know your numbers. You need to be able to calculate your numbers. You need to know when I meet people and I ask them, what's your annual net income? I do financial coaching for people, and when I ask two or three questions, I'm able to know where the person is in their financial education. What's your annual net income? What's your net worth? And you need to be able to answer those. No, what's your weekly budget on groceries? What's your monthly budget on food? What's your monthly budget on gas in your vehicle? You know, being able to know your numbers off the at the tip of your finger, it helps you analyze if an opportunity is good or an opportunity is bad. I know this amazing business, I know this amazing opportunity, then you are able to evaluate, is this loan a good loan or a bad loan? Or it's a good loan because it's from the BOI, it's offered at 9% per annum. They're going to give us a 6 month moratorium, which is a debt holiday, so that we can ramp up the business and we begin to pay the interest. Like, or it's a bad loan because it's from this institution. They're telling us we'll pay 2% fees, 2% admin fees, 2% processing fees, we'll pay registration fees, and then they're going to be charging us 6% flat per month. Either we do the business or not. So you are able. And because this is becoming more and more popular in Nigeria, there's something called, I know there are people that talk about jackpot loans. You want to travel, so you take a loan and you're paying 6% flat to the bank because you need, like, there's a lot. So we need to be able to, from a distance, identify what is good debt, what is bad debt, and then stay away from bad debt because it can lead us to financial ruin. I'm almost at the end of my session, so I hope I think I'm still within my time. But I think this is just re-emphasizing what we learned in the other slide, which is saying to leverage debt to build wealth. To leverage debt to build wealth, you have to invest in assets, not in liabilities. Leveraging debt to invest in income generating assets. And I said here, but this is not, excuse me, this is not all inclusive. I think the point is leveraging debt to invest in income generating assets, appreciating assets like real estate, like stocks. The jury is out there on that one, to be honest. But small businesses, I really, really, I think that's the biggest one for me. Real estate and small businesses, leveraging debt to invest in those kind of assets, because those assets, have a tendency to do really well. And if it's actually a good debt that you leverage into like a business, you can very quickly ramp up and scale, pay back that loan, and grow the business to much higher levels than you would have been able to if you were just using your own savings or your own capital. And sometimes debt can just be borrowing from friends and family. It doesn't have to be a bank. It doesn't have to be, regular or normal financial institutions. It can be friends and family. It can be people just borrowing you, as long as you are trustworthy. Then I said, diversify your investments. This is standard in for all investments, not about debt, but it's even a more important point if you are using debt. So diversification is very, very important, even if you are using your own money, because you can lose it all. However, if you are investing with debt, now you are now using other people's money, borrowed money, such that if the investment goes down, you are still on the hook to pay. It's like double wahala double jeopardy if you go and lose borrowed funds. So you have to diversify your investments and spread your risk, and then always have a long-term perspective when you building wealth, either through debt or through your capital. Be patient. Building wealth through leverage requires a long-term approach. Asset values may fluctuate, but over time they tend to appreciate. You can start a business at the beginning, it may not be doing very well, but as long as you are patient and you put in the work, eventually you'll be fine. As long as you've done the research, you've done the work. I'm not saying every single business will do well. You have to put in the work of research, business analysis, do all the research before going into it, and then put in the work, which is the diligence of growing the business, and be patient and long suffering to get it done. And then I just put here a few other important points, risk management. As you grow, as you scale your business, or as you scale your investment, always think about insurance coverage. For example, your home, if home insurance, or for the business insurance. And this is more as you scale, as you become bigger. Always think about it, because sometimes everything is going well, and then something happens and everything it crumbles. I know people that their house burnt, and the only reason they were not brought to financial ruin because they had a mortgage on the house, because they had an insurance cover. They were able to take the money from the insurance company, pay off the debt. Imagine if they had no insurance. The debt is still the debt. The bank will not say, "Oh, sorry, oh, because the house burnt, we will write off this money. Don't bother paying it anymore." No, that's not how the financial institution works. They don't care. That imagine paying a mortgage on a house that has burnt. Imagine paying off debt on a business so risk management, including insurance, is really important. Then monitoring your investments, continue to pay down on the debt as I went due. And this is the one I cannot overemphasize. And that's why we talked about debt repayment at the beginning. Some of us have destroyed ourselves. We've destroyed our businesses because we have refused to be trustworthy. We take a loan and then we disappear. We don't keep to the repayment terms, and we have it might be a big problem. So do a lot of due diligence before you take on the debt. But the moment you take on the debt, you have to be committed to repaying it back. Don't Debt is not free money. The bank borrowed you money is not for you to go and enjoy yourself and not pay it back. The expectation is that you pay it back, and so you have to be committed to do that. And then seek guidance, ask questions, and that's why a community like this exists, conferences like this exist, a mentor like Coach B exists and is available to us. Seek guidance, ask questions, run it by someone else. Don't just think, "Oh, I've learned about good debt. I know what is good debt. I can identify it from a distance." Coach Ayo said it's an asset check. It's a low interest rate check. This one check. I'll go ahead. Even when you've done all that due diligence and review, ask someone else that is knowledgeable. See, I'm trying to get into this deal. Here is what the numbers look like. This is how much I will make. However, this is what the loan, this is the terms, this is the interest rate. What do you think about it? And let the person also sometimes people will see something that you didn't see because you are so excited about the potential of the deal. You might miss something, and then when you run it by someone, the person goes, "Oh, no, no, but you have not noticed that they said if you don't pay it by so and so day, they are going to come and carry your father's house in the village." I missed that part. Okay, 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 let's stay away from it. So having a second opinion, running it by someone is really important. So our conclusion on this is that overall debt is a double-edged sword. It can be a valuable resource when used responsibly, but it can also be financially burdensome when not managed properly. It's essential for individuals and organizations to carefully consider their financial situations and objectives before taking on debt. Remember that leveraging debt to build wealth carries inherent risks. There are no guarantees of financial success. So it's crucial to have a clear strategy, a diversified portfolio, and the ability to weather market fluctuations. Always align your financial decisions with your long term goals and risk tolerance, and avoid excessive or reckless borrowing. So that's the end of my session. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for listening. Thanks for all the chatter in the comments. I really enjoyed the instant feedback that you all provided, and I'll hand it over to Coach B.
Thank you so very much, Shayo. It's it's always a delight to listen to you. Your session always brings back some memories for me. And I'm going to start. I know that Pastor Nee is around the call, and I know I will get feedback for this. But there's so many things that you've touched upon today. And just one thing I want the young ones around the call to understand, because when you started off, their position. Yes, thank you very much. Please clap for her. Please let the emojis come in. I don't know why I'm taking my speakers for granted because I love them and they love me, but I shouldn't take them for granted. Please clap for them. Clap for Madam Shayo and encourage us. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I was saying that the young ones around the call will take away something today that not all debt is bad. And if you don't understand it, especially the young people between 11 and 15, please send me an email and we'll talk about it further and we'll break it down further. And I want you to go away from this workshop understanding that debt, like Madam Shayo started off, is not evil. And I will tell you something. My background is accounting and banking, professional certification and qualifications in banking and accounting. And I think I didn't take my first loan until probably 1999. You know why? Because like Madam Shayo said, I thought I was doing very well once I don't take a loan. So even opportunities that existed in my workplace where the cooperatives will give loans at very low rates to encourage their staff to, acquire property, I was not taking advantage of that because I had this wrong mindset that if you take a loan, you're not a good Christian, you're not a good person, you're not managing money well, right? But what we've learned this evening is that if we manage debt very well, we can leverage on it and build uh, income. We can build wealth on debt. Thank you very much, Shayo. You mentioned the Nigerian companies that are, giving quick loans and all of that. Just to make people around the call laugh a bit. When they want to take their money back, Shayo, somebody is alive and they'll print an obituary with the person's picture. I don't know if Dr. Charity has heard about this in faraway America, but that's what these, loan sharks do. When they want to get their money back, they now put the person's picture and print, an obituary just to attract the friends and the relatives to come, redeem the debt. So we must be very careful. I have a question. I would pass a question while I like to share your rest a bit. I will pass this question to Pastor Nii. Pastor Nii, please get ready. I'm going to ask you this question. And thank you so much, Shayo, for talking about integrity, right? And the good thing was, one of the things that the speakers have in common is that we are all people of integrity. And, we had a radio conversation earlier on to talk about this program. And Pastor Nia and I were asked why, what's bonding the speakers together. And, separately, we both answered, like passion. So we are people of integrity. And it's very important that people that we're mentoring and coaching understand that whatever they're doing to grow wealth, and make money, they must approach it with integrity and a lot of ethics and trust. Thank you so much, Shayo. There's so much to talk about. If there's anything I'm taking away from this, know your numbers, know your numbers. And ladies and gentlemen, young people around the call, you can put, a statement that has, resonated with you that you like from the beginning of the workshop. What are you taking away? Some people may like ESI, Today, I am taking away know your numbers because it's so easy to use that statement to explain many things. Thank you very much, Shayo. There are questions for you, but please take a sip of water while I ask Pastor Niyi this question. Pastor Niyi, and thank you, Dr. Tio and Dr. Charity for staying with us. Mrs. Jesuleke, thank you all the panelists for staying with us. It's deliberate that I'm putting this question to Pastor Niyi. Now, Pastor Niyi, please help us understand the context of the presentation from Coach Shayo this evening. Should we be borrowing to buy shares? He's a serial investor and, he has experience. He knows a lot about people's experiences. And I would just like him to break this down. Sir, can you explain to the people around the call, the young ones, should we borrow money to buy shares or stocks?
Okay, so I mean, to start with, borrowing is not a sin. I don't know where people get the impression that the Bible is against borrowing. The Bible
I don't know
actually
where Mrs.
asks you to
Komolafe got it
borrow.
from.
Well, I mean, so the Bible asks you to borrow. If you go to, I think, Second Kings, chapter 4, verse 3, the prophet told the woman, "Go and borrow vessels. Don't even borrow a little, borrow so many, so that the miracle or the blessing you are going to get can be so large for you." And he's supposed to use the proceeds of that to go and pay another debt. So you can see how you may need to get a debt even to get out of another debt. But having said that, the key thing about borrowing, about debt, is understand the risks that you are taking. Now, every action, every investment, everything comes with a risk. So there is no hard and fast rule. So if I borrow money to buy shares and the price moved up, what happened is I'm able to compound my profits. The same way, if the price of the shares go down, I will be compounding my losses and I can be easily wiped out. So you need to now ask yourself, how will you react if something like that happens? And that will be what will determine whether it's what you should go for or not. Each one of us have different risk profiles. So there are some people, if they are owing 1,000 naira, they are not able to sleep at night. There are some people, if they are owing 1 million, they don't care. They can take it. So I think the summary is it depends on your risk profile. But whenever you are borrowing money, have a plan of how you are going to pay back. Also understand that things can go against you. And if that happens, what's your escape route? One of the things, especially in Nigeria now, that is going against people is interest rates. People collected loan when interest rate was in the neighborhood of between 15 and 17%. Right now, for most banks, interest rate is above 32%. So if already you've planned your expenses to pay back with 17%, when it moves to 32%, your payback basically doubles. So if you don't have space to accommodate it, then there will be a problem. So when the Bible says a borrower is a servant to the lender, that's what it meant. Because when you are not able to now pay back your loan, the creditor can take over your assets. And thanks for the speaker. When she was speaking, she talked about corporate debt. One of the things they will tell you is that when you take a corporate debt, you are limited by liability and things like that. But when you take an individual debt, like we learned yesterday with Mike Tyson, you can lose everything that you have because you are an individual, they will go after you. If it's a company, they can go after the asset of the company and leave you alone. So we need to understand the difference between both of them. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir, for your position and your response. Thank you. Um, Pasoni invests a lot in the stock market and he mentors people in that area and he has experience with people who have borrowed wrongly for shares and some who have benefited. That's why I put the question to him. Thank you, sir. And people around the call, if you do find yourself, I say all the time, the bonus for you attending this program is that you get free mentoring. Because if you have a question that relates to debt, for example, and you ask any of the panelists, or you ask the speaker, Coach Shayo, there's no way you won't get a response, and it's going to be free. So, you're getting this program free, and then you're also getting continuous counseling and mentoring free. Shayo, thank you for staying with us. I want you to talk about credit cards, credit card debt management of credit card. It's not so common here in Nigeria, and so may not, be so relevant. But some of the people around the call will find themselves at some point studying abroad. and having to, being exposed to credit cards. No matter how much cash you have, there's certain things you can't do, abroad without having a credit card. And even from Nigeria, there's some like KLM now. Well, sorry, I mentioned that, but some airlines, if I want to make payment, I have to use my credit card because the Naira card just won't go through. So please talk to us about credit card.
Okay, thank you very much for asking that question. So I would say that the short answer, I'll give a short and a long answer. Short answer, stay away from them. But long answer. So credit cards are a very useful tool provided by banks, primarily abroad, but I know a few banks in Nigeria also have them to help us with our day-to-day purchases, to make life easier for you. There are some really important benefits of credit cards. So what happens? You get a credit card from a bank and they give you a credit limit. Now you are able to make purchases within that limit that they have set for you, and make the purchases. The beautiful thing about making your purchases with credit cards, I live in Canada, but it applies to a lot of the countries, is that those purchases are secure. So your credit card can be more secure than paying than carrying cash around, definitely, because if someone steals your credit card, all you need to do is place a call to the bank or use your phone, block the card. The person cannot access the funds. However, if someone steals your purse that has your cash in it, your money is gone. So that security of funds is a really important feature of credit cards. Also, I always say to people that credit cards can be an interest-free loan, because what happens with credit cards is that you put all the purchases on the card. You don't have to pay it back immediately. You have about 30 days. So if, for example, my statement period is from the 1st to the 30th, I put a purchase on my credit card on the 1st of the month. I have my money in my savings account. That money is earning money for me. I don't have to touch it. If I was paying with cash or with my debit card, I will have to take that money from my savings account and pay. But when I use a credit card, it's an interest-free loan from the bank. I have I buy on the first. I don't have to pay back until, so on the 30th, they would send me a statement of all the purchases I made. And they would typically give about 21 days after you get that statement to make that purchase. What it means is that I can make a purchase on day one with my credit card, and I don't have to pay it back until day 40, 45 or so. So, or 40. So you can get a 40-day interest-free loan on your credit card. And I think that's one of the most powerful benefits of a credit card. I'm like, who gives you 40-day interest? In this abroad, everybody is looking for how to get their money. So those are some benefits, and also protection insurance. So a lot of credit card purchases are protected. So when I go to a place where I see that I don't trust this their card. This place looks a bit dodgy. I use my credit card, because if they steal my card details and I dispute some expenses on my credit card, the bank refunds me the money. Or no, they take it out of the charge. It's actually not my money, it's the bank's money. So the bank is a lot more keen on purchases with your credit card. But I would say that's where the benefits start and end. Now, credit cards can be an addiction too. A lot of people got sucked into consumer debt because of credit cards, because it's very sweet. Here in Canada and in a lot of the countries, you don't even have to put in a pin, you don't have to do anything. You just tap and go. It's very easy. It's not your money. Someone just gave you a card. You go buy things, $1,000, tap. It's paid for. So if you haven't built financial discipline and financial diligence, I know a lot of immigrants that moved abroad and got sucked into a world of debt because they didn't have that inherent financial discipline that is required to operate with credit cards. And the banks are very, very, they push the limits at you. You start out with a limit of $2,000. Before you know it, they say, oh, your limit has been increased. Your limit has been increased. Before you know it, you have a credit card that has a limit of $22,000. What it means is you can go to a store, spend $22,000 and be in debt. So as a general principle, my rules of credit card is I don't put any cost in my credit card that I cannot pay for outright. So I use the credit card as a debit card. I pay my statement in full every month, never pay interest on credit cards. And I get points, I get cash back, and I use those for other things. So I would say credit card can be a tool as part of your already full financial arsenal, but just like every other thing, if it's not used carefully, if it's not used in a disciplined way, it can get you into trouble.
Thank you very much, Coach Shayo. Thank you very much. You
Oh
put
my
a lot
gosh.
about credit cards in that. Yeah, thank you. So I have a question for you, Dr. Charity. I know you're with us. I'll just give Shayo a little bit space to rest her voice. But I want you both to talk about this question. I want to hear your perspective, and then I'll come back to Shayo on that. Um, so somebody wants you to comment. Well, not somebody. Samuel Fatwe uh, says that you're abroad. What are your thoughts on the newly introduced student loans by the Nigerian government? What are your thoughts? Anything you want to share about the student loans that have been introduced by the federal government of Nigeria? I want Dr. Charity to go first.
Hello, everyone. It's interesting. It is a good development. I would say that because no idea is a bad idea. And in the developed countries, student loan is a common thing, and it gives people opportunity to get education. And personally, education, not personally, but generally, education is one empowerment that everyone should have. Education is a great way to build your capacity in everything that you want to do, in any career choice that you want to venture into. So education is key. And student loans provides that opportunity for people to get the education that ordinarily they wouldn't have been able to do because they just couldn't afford it. And education in Nigeria is getting more and more expensive that a lot of people may not be able to afford education in the near future. So having student loan is a good development. It also puts Nigeria in that category of a country that's actually thinking about its citizens to be able to get the education that they need. But one thing about student loans generally is you knowing, I'll put it this way. A lot of people in US here have student loans. They've taken student loans that they cannot pay back. A lot of people are drowning in student debt that they cannot pay back, because the plan with student loans is that you are required to start paying off your student loans. The assumption is that once you get out of college, you allow yourself maybe another 6 months at the most to get a job, and then a good job so that you can be able to support yourself and then start paying on the loan that you undertake. And a lot of people after graduation find it difficult to get the kind of job that they want. And a lot of them don't start paying on their student loans until way down, further in the year. And as you're delaying paying your student loans, the interests are accruing. So that is one thing to keep in mind before you jump into that student loan. If you have the funding to go to school without taking student loans, by all means do that. You're going to be doing yourself a favor. But whereby you do not have any hopes at all, there's no one you can get money from, there's no relative that will support you. If all hopes are lost that you cannot, then you can consider student loans. It's a good thing, but keep in mind that interest is one thing that drives people into tons and tons of debt. And be mindful of the cost of study you're going in for. What are you going to do after school? Are you going to get a job? Are you going to start your own business? What are you going to do to generate income after school so you can be able to pay down those student debts? Otherwise, you will continue in that cycle of, having debts that continue to haunt you. So, but it's a good thing. It is a wonderful idea. Embrace it. But before you jump into getting student loans, make sure that you've exploited other opportunities for you to get funding for your education before taking on that debt, knowing fully well they are going to start paying them back with interest after you graduate from school. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Coach Shayo, Rotimi Oyekon, as a follow-up to what Dr. Charity already warned and talked about, Rotimi Oyekon says, is this student loan or slavery money? Your comments. This is student loan or slavery money?
So, no, the thing is that the greatest book, and I'm biased, I'm a Christian, so I will say it's the greatest book in the world. But the greatest book in the world already said that the borrower is servant or is slave to the lender. So that's the fundamental point about debt. So there are people that say, we have mortgages. and there are people will be like, borrower is slave to the lender. I'm a Christian. I understand. I recognize that I'm slave to my lender. So if I'm driving by the bank, Uncle Royal Bank, I'm greeting you. I'm very respectful to my banks. I'm very respectful, because if they say come and pay back this money, I cannot pay it. So anyone, and I'm saying this on a light note, but it's the fact that if you are owing someone money, it's a form of slavery, and until you pay off that debt, you're entangled to that. However, I agree with what Dr. Charity has said. For people that otherwise will have been deprived of an education, and they really want an education, then absolutely this is a good opportunity for them. The thing is that beyond, we have to think beyond the student loan. Like, must everybody go to university? Those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. In Nigeria, we don't invest in the trades. And that's because we have a big problem of income inequality. No, if you say to someone in Nigeria, oh, your child is going to study plumbing to become a plumber, what's the response? The response is going to be God forbid, because there's a huge inequality in the income structure in Nigeria.
Nigeria.
However, like in more developed countries, it's a honorable thing to be a plumber. In fact, the plumber is probably earning
Through
a
your
lot more
nose.
than the banker. So I know,
Mhm,
I know students that'll be like, oh, I'm in fourth year of university, and immediately after my college, I'm going to the trade school for 2 years to learn electricals, so I can become
mhm,
an electrician because I want to go
mhm.
to the trade. So I think, looking at student loan in isolation in Nigeria is a really difficult one, because that's just one of the many roots that connect to that problem. But I think, rather than going, because once you ask any question about Nigeria, I can go all patriotic and share my opinion about a lot of things. I think the just back to what Dr. Charity has said, it's the fact that first and foremost, explore every other avenue to pay without going into debt. And then if absolutely debt is the only option, then just go back to what I shared. What are the things to think about? Are we investing in an asset? Yes, an education that helps to improve your capacity to earn is an asset. So yes, we're investing. What is the interest rate? Is the rate good? If the rate is good, then maybe. If the rate is not good, maybe you want to look for another one. What is my earning power? Am I taking a student loan to go learn a skill that I can learn from a 6 month course? Or am I taking a student loan to learn a skill that when I graduate, I can earn so that I can pay off the loans a lot faster? So you have to do the work, do the research. What is the potential earning from this career that I am choosing in Nigeria? Or what is my plan? Is this career supposed to help improve my opportunity to live? No, it's not. Oh, is it? What is it? What will I earn potentially if I'm taking a loan of 1 million naira to go, but I'm going to be earning 80,000 naira? Does it make so? You have to know the numbers and run the numbers, in my opinion. So, but like, and I think one major thing, and I see Pastor Nee wants to say something. So my last point though is one thing I've noticed, that I noticed abroad, that doesn't happen a lot in Nigeria, or maybe it's happening more and more, is young kids at the age of 16 or so working and earning. And I see there are young people. There's opportunities. Like, we shouldn't jump at the loan as the first resort. I see people, they'll be like, between the school year, in the summer holiday, they'll sell. I have colleagues at work that will say, oh, my 16-year-old is a dishwasher at that restaurant, and he's so excited. He comes home because he makes money. There are opportunities to actually begin to save for your education. So I just don't want us to think about the loan as the first option. What are the other ways we can raise money for the education? And then if we don't have a choice, then we can fall to the loan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach Shayo. There's a lot of feedback for President Tinubu in the chat box, but I'm not going to be the messenger to deliver the message to President Tinubu today. Thank you very much, Shayo. Pastor Nee wants to say something. Is it on this question? Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, it is. So, I mean, this loan is supposed to be interest free, so that reduces your risk to start with. But one thing I just want people to understand is loan is not free money. You have to pay it back. So before you collect any loan at all, it does not matter which name it is called, be sure that you have a payback plan. In Nigeria, we don't have respect for credit. So that's why you collect money from your friend, and if you have no intention of paying back, but you call it a loan. You collect money from your uncle, from whoever, with no intention of paying back. That is very, very bad. So loan is not free money. And I love the way our speaker talked about it when she was talking about credit card. It's very easy to swipe the credit card, but it's not free money. It is money that you have to pay back. And credit card debt have the highest interest rate anywhere you go into. So that's not what you want to do if you don't have a plan of paying it back. And like she said, I mean, I have a credit card. I have never paid interest on my credit card before, all my life, never. Because I made sure I only use the card because of the convenience, but it's not because I don't have the money to pay. The problem or the mistake people make is they use their credit card to make purchases that they cannot afford, that they don't have money to pay. And the credit card company are so very nice, they ask you to pay the minimum. And the same way that your returns or your profit can compound and grow quickly, like the exercise we did yesterday, the same way your debt can grow very quickly. So you can just say, okay, you borrowed 1 naira, and if it compounds very well, you are going to pay back 1 million. So it's just the same way. Compounding can work for you in investment, and they can work against you when you collect a loan. So whatever loan you collect, have a payback plan. It is not free money. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Thank you. Coach Tayo, there are so many comments about your slide pack. People are loving and they're very curious. Somebody is asking, I guess it's maybe one of my young friends, whether you're a graphic designer. Then somebody asked what app or something you used in developing your slides. You want to talk about that quickly or?
Yes, I responded to the
Oh, you
question
have? Okay.
about what
Okay.
I used PowerPoint, and I'm not a, in fact, I'm as far away from
From
a
graphic.
graphic designer as anybody can be. I'm not, but I just use PowerPoint and use the free tools available to create presentations. But
Okay.
thank you, I
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Yes, Coach Tayo, because I want you to answer this question for Treasurer Azuka. And they say a person that wants to be an accountant in the future, is it after graduation from the university that he or she will write the ICANN exam, or while in the university, or after serving, probably that's NYC, or after secondary school? And please, when you're speaking or responding, you can also respond about the possibility of, qualification with other countries' accounting bodies.
All right. Thanks for asking. So I would say all of the above is the right answer to the question. So it really depends. So with ICANN, there are opportunities right out of secondary school, even before university. But I am not as up to date with the ICANN process. But back in the day, so I'll say what it was back in the day. But whoever asked this question, you might have to do a bit more research. I know back in the day, because what happens with ICANN is every 4 or 5 years or so, they change the syllabus, they change the names of the programs, but the content or the way the program is set up has stayed reasonably consistent. So I know it will not be significantly different from what I'm saying, but the names might be different. But back in the day when I did ICANN, there was the option to do ATS.
Yeah.
ATS was like a diploma, like an entry point. So people that haven't even gone to the university, that have a high school degree, WAEC, right after that, we could do ATS 1, 2, and 3. And, that's an entry point into ICANN. So that's an option. Another option is, if someone with a university degree but not in accounting can apply to write ICANN. There will be some exemptions depending on what the university degree was in. So, for example, someone that studied law and wants to do ICANN will most likely get an exemption from business law, but someone that studied business admin will get an exemption from maybe management. Someone that studied banking, so it depends on your degree. But someone that studied accounting typically get, like, that has a bachelor's or HND accounting, typically gets significant exemption from the ICANN exam and only has to write one or two levels of it to get qualified. So I think it would depend. I think the action point will be to, check on the ICANN website, do some research, and put in, you know where you are. Depending on where you are, ICANN can meet you where you are, and you can start the process from wherever you are, and go with it. Now, how to get qualified everywhere? So I think it really depends on us as individuals, what we want. I know that many Nigerians explore ACCA. ACCA is a global accounting designation, and it's one that a lot of Nigerians, are interested in. So that, and I know ACCA in Nigeria, ACCA, in fact, they just recently had a Nigerian president. So ACCA is very big in Nigeria. There's also CIMA, which is the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants in the UK. So there's that option, and I know they also have a Nigerian option. So I did CIMA. And with my ICANN, I was able to get some exemption from the CIMA in 2010. I hear now that there's an even better collaboration between CIMA Nigeria and ICANN Nigeria. So ICANN chartered holders get better exemption. So I was able to just do just a few exams, and I got the CIMA certification. And then, because I knew I was moving to Canada, I switched to CPA Canada. I wouldn't say anybody. Everybody needs to do these. I got these certifications because of specific changes that were happening in my life. With just ICANN, I was good, but because I was working for a global organization at the time, and I was looking for opportunities in other countries, I did the CIMA, and then my family was moving to Canada. I did the CPA Canada. So it really, what was happening was what drove the certifications I did, not because anything beyond the ICANN. For me, I always say to people, the knowledge of accounting I have, like the core knowledge, is from my bachelor's in accounting from a Nigerian university and my ICANN exams, and then work experience. All the additional exams I did, it was really to get certification because I wanted the license to be able to practice. It wasn't for new knowledge. The knowledge from ICANN, from your college degree, is just enough to be, honed in accountant, global accountant from Nigeria.
Thank you so
And
much,
what
Coach
was the
Sayo.
other? I
Yeah.
think those were the two questions.
Yes, whether you can start
Thank you.
early or wait to graduate.
Yes.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Okay.
Treasure, if you have more questions on this, you can send us an email and we'll guide you further. Like Coach Shaya said, there may be need to revalidate what the existing exemptions and conditions are. Thank you so much, Coach Shaya. Dr. Teo, are you still with us? I have a question for you. Yes, you're still here. So there's a question about Dr. Teo.
Yes, I'm with you. I can hear you.
Okay, I wanted to be sure so that before reading it out. So there's a question from Farouk Momo, and he's referring to the external sources of funding for businesses and entrepreneurs that you mentioned earlier. And he says, in the case of requesting funds from a bank, will the bank not request for collateral? And what will you do if you don't have collateral? Maybe you just want to explain the loans and collaterals to him.
Okay. I guess that Coach Sayo would have been the best to answer this question. Talking about credits, All right. Yes.
You can take a first stab and she can add to it.
First and foremost, from my banking experience, actually, the collateral is not the first thing that the bank would look for. The collateral is not the first thing because the collateral comes in only when the facility has gone wrong. So the first thing a bank or any creditor would look for is your proposal, what are you proposing? What's the product or service that you want to offer that you are looking at for money? Secondly, they want to look at your credibility. We heard, because you just told us about the credit cards. That's why the banks would ask for minimum of 6 months bank statement. They want to assess how credible you are, right? Both about your person and the organization. So if you haven't done anything, for instance, so they want to assess that you have the ability to pay back the facility that you are looking for. If your bank statement in the past 6 months has just been ₦1 million, and you are looking for 30 million naira facility, they are not likely to give it to you because they're going to ask you, where are you going to get the money to pay back? Even if you have a fantastic building that has been given to you. So the first thing, as I said, is not the collateral that is important. If you are able to demonstrate that you have the stream of income that would be able to pay back the facility, you have passed through the first hurdle. All right? Then before the collateral issues will come up. Some banks would also advance facilities to you without the collateral because you have demonstrated that you have the ability to pay back. You also have the credibility over a period to pay back. As I said earlier, nobody will give you money if you have no money to contribute to it. I cannot, no bank will give you a dime if you don't have X amount. For instance, you are looking for ₦1 million and they ask you, how much do you have? You say nothing. So you have to make a contribution, sometimes it's 60%, 30%, and then you can then go back to say, okay, I don't have a collateral, but over this period, I have been able to demonstrate my credibility, the ability for me to pay back the facility. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Teo. Shayo, do you want to add anything to that?
And lastly, lastly, before I go on, I talked about the mentor. I talk about people that will support you. If you have showed credibility over time, there are people who know you, all right, who come to know you to say that, yes, I know this person. I know what he has been able to do. I can volunteer my own asset as a backup for your what you want to take. And then I talked about partnership to say, yes, I don't have the money to give to you, but I can give you this asset as a guarantee, maybe as a personal guarantee for you. Or not even maybe not an asset, but I can guarantee you that that the bank, if anything goes wrong, hold me liable. I will be able to pay this loan on behalf of this person. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Teo. Shayo, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think the question has been answered greatly. The only thing it's not really an addition, it's just emphasizing that last point. It's because I see a number of comments and questions about, okay, so how do we? And I think the point is that financial institutions are not the only way to get debt. Like when I was talking, I talked about family and friends. I talked about supplier financing, getting someone that trusts you to give you goods, and then you pay
Products.
when you get. So there are all these unconventional ways to finance a business through debt. But the question is, how trustworthy have you shown? What is your reputation over time? There are people in my family that I know that if they need money to finance a business in a heartbeat, I can lend. And I know that nothing, because I know that they are committed to paying back. They would rather go hungry than not pay back that debt. But I also know people in my same family that if they ask, it's a clear
It's a
no,
grant.
because I
It's a
know
grant. It becomes a grant.
historically they have shown that that is their behavior. So building your reputation to to be someone that can be trusted. When people come to meet me and I don't know them so well and they say, oh, please come and borrow me money, I'm like, I know, without thinking too hard, I know you are not a trustworthy person, because if you are a trustworthy person, there has to be someone in your
In your
immediate
immediate,
or next
absolutely.
immediate circle that you can go and meet for money. So if you cannot go and meet those people, it means you have spoiled your behavior with all those people, and now you are going to outsiders. So check yourself and check your reputation. So I just really wanted to re-emphasize those points.
Thank you very much. Pastor Nee, your hand is up.
Yes, thanks. And I love what the last speaker said. I mean, banks is not the way to place to start. Start with your family members, those who know you very well. And if those ones are not able to help you, then you need to start to ask yourself questions. The thing I would like to add is debt is not the only way by which we can raise capital. We need to start to think of equity. And I think, please, with all apologies to those that will get offended, you have a business idea that you are going to make 1 million from. You are now going to meet somebody to borrow you money. You should ask yourself, what is the need for the person? When you make the 1 million, you go away and you go and enjoy your 1 million, and you just return whatever money you collected from the person back. We need to start to remember to tell ourselves that the person we are collecting a loan from, and most often when they are friends or family, they are interest free, they are losing something. There's an opportunity cost. They could have put that money in a bond and had some interest. So sometimes when we are coming to people with proposal, let's go with a win-win. Let the person also see what the person can gain by supporting your idea. Don't just want everything free. No. So the person might be okay, maybe take equity in this my idea. Even though it's my idea, it's my brain, let the money you are bringing, let it be maybe 30%, 40%, whatever it is. But we should always remember that the people we are going to meet, let us have something for them also that is attractive. What is the value proposition for them? Why should the person give you money to start with? Is it because of your name? Come on, there are other people who have the same name like you. So let's have something that the other people will benefit, and don't let us be selfish and want to make all the money and not thinking about the other people. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Quickly, I want to allow Musumola Adewale to speak because they've been asking and commenting that the question is not being answered. Adewale, Musumola, I've asked you to unmute. Can you quickly ask your question? We can't hear you, Adewale, Musumola.
Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Remember
ma.
to tell us your age. Good evening.
My name is Adewale Musmola and I am 11 years.
Okay.
So I would like to ask a question from that. I don't understand the process of entrepreneurship, the process, perceiving opportunities or person. So that's
Okay.
the question I don't know.
You want to understand entrepreneurship better?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a model. I have Coach Bella has a 30-minute that she's recorded for ages 10 to 15. I will share the link with you because we are running out of time. Okay, and
Okay,
then please
ma'am.
send me an email, financecoachtoday@gmail.com, and then
Okay,
we can
ma'am.
do some one-to-one explanation to you. I have a last
Okay, ma'am.
question from Treasure, Dr. Teo. I hope you're still here. Otherwise, yes, Dr. Teo.
Yes, I'm with you.
So,
I'm with you, yes.
So Treasure Azuka says that, you know, when you were making your presentation and they say, I quote, because, you know, I think it's what they had. A bad economy is a good opportunity. Can you please explain? A bad economy is a good opportunity. I think I know what they're talking about, but it's your question.
All right, thank you. For every entrepreneur, for every meaningful business to thrive, you need to seek out opportunities. If we take maybe on a bigger scale, the Dangote refinery. The Dangote refinery may not have been profitable or feasible, as it were, if the 4 refineries, the government refineries, were functioning properly. Right? Today, they're accused all over the country. Okay? So Dangote saw that opportunity and he leveraged on it. So it is everywhere. A bad economy, there's food inflation today all over the world. The entrepreneur would look at the opportunities there. What can I do? How can I solve the problem? Okay, how can I solve the problem? So once the economy, if there is not say that's a good economy, there's no opportunity there. But there are better opportunities if the economy is bad. Okay? When the economy is bad, there are many, many more opportunities for us to take advantage of. I needed to talk a little bit about the student loan when we're talking about the student loan. I also agree with the speakers, those who answered the questions, that the loan is not the best option. And so what can we do? Entrepreneurship skills then come in to bridge the gap for those who whose parents or who do not have the means of payment of fees, rather than enslaving ourselves with a loan. Even though back in Nigeria here, there's a possibility that 99% of those who take those loans will not pay back, right? But let's not make those assumptions. So we can take advantage of entrepreneurship skills that we could get and we would get from here to see how can we self-finance ourselves and become profitable. And thereafter, these skills that we've had can still be useful to us even after school. I remember those days, some persons were making shoes. They are shoe cobblers while in school. There are people who were selling shirts while in school. And they graduated and came out and owned shops where they are selling other things. So it's, for me, it's looking at the opportunities that exist, whether it's in a bad economy or in a good economy. But bad economies would give us better opportunities. It's only for us to open our eyes and see the opportunities that are around us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Theo. And I want to thank Dr. Charity for staying with us. Pastor Lee, thank you so much. Mrs. Martha Jesuleke, thank you so much. And of course, Coach Sayo. I do not take for granted any of the support from the partners that have given their resources to make this workshop a success. There are so many questions in the chat box, and I'm saying to you that we would respond to every question, and that's why it's important that we have your email that you registered with, an email. Mrs. Martha Jesuleke and I are going to respond. Well, she will, because she's the educationist around the call. There's a question about that has to do with career counseling, because somebody's asking, is it better to be a property lawyer or what's the second thing? I don't know what the question is now, or something about choosing the right career. We will get to it. I want to thank every one of you. We're 69, well, minus the panelists, so we're about 60 people around the call now. We will finalize this workshop tomorrow, and we'll be talking investments. Dr. Charity will talk to us about investing in stock by yourself. And just like Coach Shayo's session this evening has raised some questions that you need to know better and understand better, tomorrow we will be looking at investing in stocks by ourselves. It's not the one other that the Charity is going to talk to us will not answer all the questions, but it will open your eyes to the things that you need to know and the things that you need to do if you have to invest in stocks yourself. Then Mr. Ayodele will come and talk to us about investing in Nigeria in the current times. He's going to talk to us about low income and high income investments opportunities, investment opportunities for low and high income earners, and make every other thing that is possible about investment in Nigeria. Now, I think it's Kabiru that referred to a book, The Richest Man in Babylon. We have some copies. We have some copies of 3 books that have been donated by Pastor Nee, and as many of you that have been interacting with us so well and participating will be eligible to win some of the book. Now, we had winners from yesterday and from the quiz, and they have a prize, and I would be getting in touch with the 3 winners of Pastor Nee's quiz of yesterday. Thank you so much, Coach Shaya. You're looking so well. I feel like giving you a hug all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Dr.
very
Charity.
much,
You know
ma.
I'm
Thank
ever
you all
grateful
for
to
having
you.
me.
Yes, Dr. Theo, thank you so, so much. There are some questions for you. I'm just going to summarize the questions for each of the speakers because, of course, I can't deal with the questions alone. But I want to assure all the participants that any question that has been raised in the Q&A box or in the chat box will certainly be dealt with. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been a good evening. And please join us at 4 p.m. tomorrow as we round up this very beautiful 2024 Financial Literacy Workshop. Stay back as usual. I will leave it open for like 10 to 15 minutes so that you can put more comments and questions. And please, King David, I will let you talk tomorrow. Okay, or do you want to give the vote of thanks? Okay, King David is insisting that he must talk. So let me see, so that he can give the vote of thanks on behalf of everybody. Okay, King David, you are allowed to speak now.
Thank you, Ma. Ma, please, I have a question.
Your age?
I'm 11 years old. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay. My question is, how do you strive to gain momentum in the market when you're competing? And my second question is, please, could you elaborate more on an entrepreneur and entrepreneurship, and also the origin of the word? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, King David. I would have been feeling so guilty if I don't let you talk because you've put the comments in there several times that you're not being answered. So I said to you that we have a 30-minute session that has been recorded for your age. I want you to listen to this. I will send you the link. And if you still have questions after that, I will do a one-to-one to explain things better to you. Okay? So that we don't keep people around the call waiting for too long. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a beautiful evening. Thank you, King David. And I hope I see you tomorrow. You've been very consistent. You just have to finish the 5 days and get a prize from us. God bless you all. Thank you, Shayo.
Amen. God bless you too.
All right. Take care. Madam Martha, thank you so much. We'll talk right after. Can see you still there. Pastor Nee, thank you so much.
All right, ma.
Sure, thank